All right. You just tell me when.
Whenever. Been recording.
Oh,
for about
great.
a minute
Of
and a
course
half,
you have.
I gotta get some outtake stuff.
Arranging myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the fluffing. Did you get the fluffer
Just
line?
post fluffer.
Yeah, just post fluffer. Okay, good.
We'll pause it in a second.
Well, welcome everybody, patronites and the public at large. I'm Stephen Dupuis, the artistic director here at the Dormouse Theater, and welcome to an edition of The Green Room. We are no longer in a green room, I guess it's sage and blue, so green enough. And I'm here with the wonderful and fabulous, incomparable, and insert amazing word, Darcy Wilkens. For this, I don't know, third or fourth installment.
It's actually Wilken.
Wilken, sorry,
Okay.
I've done that because it's the Wilkens hour, and so
yeah,
it can,
it gets very confusing.
there is a little hyphen, and hopefully we have Finnegan with us, who is also a part of Darcy's show now here at the Dormouse, the staple. We'll talk about that in a bit. But I wanted Darcy to start off, let's say people don't know who you are, because there might be
a lot of people don't.
Might be a couple in Kalamazoo. But tell us a little bit about what you do for people who don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You're a musician, and you do what kind of music?
I'm a musician in a band called the Corn-Fed Girls, which we started in 1997, and I think the best word for it is Americana, which is hard, or just folk music works. It started out with bluegrass instrumentation, banjos and fiddles and mandolins and such, and it pretty much stayed that way, but what we thought might start out as a bluegrass band just turned into a lot of original weird music.
Oh, so you were intending to do covers when you first started out?
We still do some covers, but I don't know what we were intending. We were youngins, and I remember bluegrass being kind of the idea, and then it just kind of morphed into its own thing. So.
Okay, and so the Corn-Fed Girls, and how many people are in the Corn-Fed Girls? Because it seems like you have some transient members, some semi-permanent members. Tell me a little bit about that.
We have 5 official members, myself, and then there's Mike First, Sarah First, John Campos, and Phil Berry, and then Jay Gavin plays with us all the time, but for some reason is sort of like it's just become a joke now that he's not in the photos for some reason, and he just never really officially joined, but he's always there.
Okay.
Absolutely. He's the 6th Corn-Fed Girl, like the 6th
Beatle. And so the Corn-Fed Girls was sort of your regular gig, right?
Yeah.
And you've done that for a while. And then, of course, I want to talk a little bit about now. Yeah. And the Darcy Wilkens hour.
Yeah. Well, after I started doing solo stuff, maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago. It's hard to tell when I sort of started playing out on my own a little bit. And so then the What's It Hour kind of grew out of that a little bit. Because I do a bunch of solo stuff, but the What's It Hour is my new passion that I'm super excited about.
And tell me about how that come about for people who don't know the story about, like, the inspiration behind that.
The inspiration for people who have lived in Kalamazoo forever, there was a coffee house called the Canterbury Coffee House, and it took place on Western's campus at a church, at an old church, and here we are sitting in an old church. And it's a thing I went to as a child. My dad played music there, and my whole family was really involved in this thing that would happen every weekend. Hey, buddy. And
he was not a great idea.
But he's got his charm, though. And so I just grew up in a musical family, going to festivals, but this particular thing was really the Canterbury Coffee House. I got to see in the world of folk music, lots of famous people and bands that would come through, the Red Clay Ramblers and Utah Phillips and people Nancy Griffith, like lots of folks would come through and play, and then sometimes there'd be parties afterwards at people's houses, and so as a little kid, I was just around all these really amazing jam sessions and really amazing musicians, and so as an adult, playing all this music, the What's It Hour, I kind of think of as...
Now, is that when you started to play, or when did you first pick up the banjo
or
guitar? Or what did you start to play? What was your first instrument?
Mostly I play guitar, and that's true to this day. I can play a little banjo and some ukulele and stuff. I'm slowly picking up other instruments, but I knew the same 4 chords for 10 years before I actually really started to care about it, and care about it more, and that the band really started that. Was just, I suppose I played before that too, but always guitar. My dad taught me how to play guitar as I was growing up. So after I got done playing softball and all of that stuff, then the music thing started.
Speaking of your dad, Darcy did an hour with her father. If you missed it, I believe it'll be posted on YouTube. So if you want to plug the YouTube, where it will be, or where you are going to be posting.
Darcy Wilken's channel on YouTube is where I think it will be. And so it's in post-production right now. I'm getting mixed down and everything, but it's going to be really cool. So,
because who's sponsoring you again? La Luna? La Luna is the sponsoring, so they're doing all of the sound.
Actually, Brian Dees, it gets all confusing, but Brian Dees is doing that, who did the sound at the last What's It show with my dad. But yes, La Luna has been a sponsor for the first couple shows.
So it should be top notch.
Yes, it'll be great.
Is the point that I'm making.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's okay. So, so we went from the Canterbury Place, and then, which was sort of the inspiration, into the What's It Hour.
Yeah.
And so we're coming up on the third one. Tell us, is it going to be the same flavor? Are you mixing it up? Or, because, I mean, you've talked about it being, sort of, I don't know what it is. So I don't know, are you dreaming up different things for each one?
I certainly have a plan for each one, and the plan is a little bit different each time, depending on who it's going to be. Sometimes it depends on whether they stand up or sit down to play, if it makes more sense for us to transition over here or over there for interview purposes and things. But what I'm hoping for is always that feeling of that coffee house vibe where people are there to listen, but I also want them to feel somewhat involved because it's a really intimate space. And so I think that I hope it's like somewhere between a coffee house and a living room.
It does seem really intimate, and it seems like you really know the person, and that you prepare, unlike me, for the interview. So I don't know if you prepare a lot, or what does that process look like for you? Like, being like the Oprah of the hour.
Well, it's a process I'm still learning how to do. The first one with Jay Gavin, for those who were there, it was going to be a different guest, Joe Newberry, and he couldn't make it. And so within a couple of days, we swapped out. Luckily, I know Jay Gavin really well. We did a little, I wouldn't call it a pre-interview, but he had a new album that I'm a huge fan of, and I knew that we wanted to talk about that. So that was kind of easy. My dad, for the second one, same kind of thing, although we did talk about it. I mean, the guy's 81 years old, and he's been a force in this town forever, and there are so many things we didn't even get to. He worked at Gibson Guitars for 5 years. So I pared it down a little bit, but it's interesting. I'm new at interviewing people.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to try, and like we said, we'll try and get this in, 20 minutes, and I feel like how that's impossible sometimes when you get into a story.
Yeah.
Like, where did you start? How did else 4 years ago? Or whatever, but you mentioned something. So Joe has a new album, but you also have a new album, right?
It came out in January of 2020, which was not the best time in the world to start a thing, although didn't you start this theater?
Yeah, we started this theater around the same.
I put out an album in January of 2020 called Bristol, and then I had planned on touring on that, and of course everything shut down. So to me, it's still a new album, even though it's a couple of years old.
Inspiration for that album, or anything that you'd really want people listening to it, hey, I want this bit to resonate with you because of this reason.
I've been thinking about that through the view of a person who interviews other people now that I'm doing this, which I'm new at. And I was thinking about the upcoming guest is Jordan Hamilton, September 24.
Yes, September 24.
Jordan is an amazing musician and writer and teacher as well, but I don't know him as well as I know these other guys. So I'm putting a lot of thought into that and the kinds of questions. And one of the things I was going to ask Jordan is just, what do you want people to get out of your music? And I can ask myself the same question. Commiseration, I think, is a lot of it. I hope people can hear the songs I write and kind of go like,
me too.
She gets it too, or she feels like I feel. I know that sounds kind of cliche to say that, but it is what I hope for. Because I do think about that when I'm writing songs. Sometimes it's a story, and then it's different. But when it's something that's...
Are they always your story, or do you pick other stories sometimes? Yeah.
No, I just wrote a new song about... another justifiable homicide ballad. So no, it's not a true story.
Oh yeah, justifiable
I
homicide. Those are great. What's the one? It reminds me of the night the lights went out in Georgia,
Yeah,
or
we call them murder ballads in folk music, but justifiable homicide ballads. So no, it's not always a story about me, and I don't even know where they come from sometimes. But I like story songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just telling. I have a couple of different stories about cautionary prostitution tales, which there probably aren't that many other times in folk music right now. So story songs. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there.
Prostitution tale.
Yeah.
Through the lens of folk music.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check it out. It's fascinating.
Well, awesome. So, coming up, what the instrument that
That Jordan plays?
the Jordan plays?
Jordan's
the cellist,
yeah.
right? Okay, and
He's a cellist, but he's a cellist unlike any other cellist. Like he also sings. He writes songs, and then he uses loopers as well.
Okay.
And he makes sounds come out of his cello that.
So in your realm, how are you? Because you usually play with the other person.
Yeah.
So have you done anything like this before?
Jordan actually played on my album on a couple of songs, so he's going to play on a couple of songs with me that I'm singing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as far as we've discussed that, but it'll be interesting. We've never played music together because when he played on my record, he came in after I had recorded my parts and recorded over them. So,
okay.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I'm really excited about with the What's It Hour, and why it's called the What's It Hour is I'm pretty cool with it. If it's different every single time,
yeah,
I like the idea that Jordan and I have not played music together. We will probably sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We'll be rehearsed.
Well, I certainly thought it was unexpected when I saw the instrument in the promo shot. I was like, wow, this is going to be really different and unique. And you think he'll incorporate any looping in your show, or
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Yeah. And, well, in his show, in his portion of it when he's playing by himself, I would assume he will. But I've pretty much said you can do whatever you want.
So I don't know when this will go on the interwebs, but people are already buying tickets, and Darcy's show is like taking off. It's like liquid fire. So if you see this and you haven't gotten tickets yet, just get the tickets. All right. What other deep burning questions? What do you hope to gain out of the What's It Hour? So I think you've really talked about a lot about what you hope the audience will get out of it. But what does Darcy Wilkens want to get out of it at the end? And like, if you do this for a year, like, what do you think? Are you trying to heal or fill a hole of sorts?
There is a little bit of that. I would put this in a way that doesn't sound super jerky. I've seen a lot of people put on shows in ways that I didn't agree with or like, and I don't even know if agree with or like is the right way, but where I've gone, I would do that differently. And I feel like I'm allowed to do that here, where I can go, I want to change this, or I want to. So having a little bit of artistic freedom is really cool, and I want it to feel good. Like, how do I explain it? I'm so excited about this. I talk about it a lot. I've actually had to tell the people close to me, like, when you get tired of hearing about the What's It Hour, it's okay, because it's all I thought about for like months. And I'm pretty excited about having a place where I can play each month, because part of this is, it's my show too, and I play a few songs, but it's focused on my guest. And to be able to, a year from now, have put on these cool events. I know this is more talking about with other people, like what they're going to get out of it, but I anticipate there will be people at Jordan's show that have never seen Jordan before, who have come because they like me or they like my dad, and that's like, how exciting is that? Yeah. That's really, really cool. And for me to have this, I want to have a diverse lineup musically, and Jordan is part of that. I'm used to banjos and fiddles, and Jordan's very different, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about like those new experiences, what it'll be like to play with him. Like that.
Well, so it's in a way, like, everyone's getting this great experience, but you're getting the great experience as well, because you're like, oh yeah, I'll never played with him before.
It's a little selfish on my part, like,
and why not?
Yep. Jay Gavin, as much as the first guest, as much as I've played with Jay Gavin over the years in the Cornfed Girls, we have very little have we ever played just the two of us. And so we got to go get together a couple of nights and work this up. And I don't know if that would have happened otherwise.
Well, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And as an audience member / ounce of producer, I feel like I've taken.
Oh yeah,
I've taken a big interest in the show. I just love it. I don't think out of the couple so far, and I'm sure we'll continue that. There's moments where you'll laugh. There's definitely moments where you'll cry.
It's been a little emotional.
It's been a journey. So I can't wait for the next one and the next one.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. When I walked into this place, I went, wow. And my brother, I said this on stage the other night, I think, my brother walked in and he said, oh, this place has serious Canterbury Coffee House vibes. And I just, I'm getting all goosebumpy about it now because it's just, there's a really welcoming feeling about this place. So I'm really happy to be here.
Well, I want to thank you, Darcy. We're probably about on time. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my black, deep, little, tiny, charcoaly heart. And I don't know, Finnegan's at the show. So he's been a complete butthead for the entire interview, of course. But if you come to the show, you'll see him, and he's quite charming.
Oh, he's great at the shows. He just chills out.
Not for the interview. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Darcy.
Yeah, thank you.